Each guest entering our building should be warmly welcomed immediately by all. The restaurant host will offer guests the opportunity to have a drink at the bar or to be sat at their table straight away. The host will seat the guests at the table with their menus, informing them of any out-of-stock items and directing them to the location of the wines and the drinks menu. The host will also remove any excess place settings from the table. Your host will inform you that you have a new table in your section and relay any specific information they have learned from the guest or from the booking notes, i.e. a birthday, a special occasion, or any special requests we have been made aware of. You should approach your table within roughly 15 seconds of the guest being seated, introduce yourself, and ask about any allergies that you may need to be aware of. This is also a great opportunity to beautifully describe any specials for the day from one of our chalkboards. At this point, you should then offer any still or sparkling water to the guests, as well as any pre-dinner drinks they may want. You can also ask them if they would like any nibbles, making sure to point these out on the menu. Repeat the order back to the guests and send the order through the till. If the guests have ordered any nibbles at this point, make sure to bring over the appropriate mise en place for these on a clean service plate. Mise en place is a French phrase which essentially translates to put in place, and it's your opportunity to make sure that your guests have all of the cutlery that they will need for the food that they have ordered. Getting this right can help to ensure that each guest has a great experience and also allows you to cut out any unnecessary visits to the table, allowing you to work more efficiently. Mise en place will change for each table and each guest depending on what they've ordered. Remember this simple rule: the guest should always have everything they need and nothing that they don't. Should a guest not be having a starter, then our mise en place step would involve removing starter cutlery. If a guest has ordered a dish that requires special cutlery like a soup, a steak, or mussels, then these will need to be added in the appropriate place in front of the guest. Remember that guests eat from the outside in, so any starter cutlery should always sit outside the main course cutlery and vice versa. Depending on what a guest has ordered, the mise en place for a table can range from very simple to more complex. Once the mise en place has been delivered to the table, you will need to collect the drinks from the bar and bring them to the guests. Remember, we always use a tray to deliver drinks, aside from bottles of wine, water, or jugs. Shortly after drinks arrive to the table, nibbles should follow from the kitchen. Make sure these are delivered promptly to the guests. Approach the table when the guest is ready to order. Be prepared, this may be with the drinks delivery. It is important that you know the menu, as guests will have questions, and this will enable you to make appropriate recommendations when asked. Once you've taken the order, you should then repeat the order back to the guests and put it through the till. At this point, you should also ask guests if they're going to order any bottles of wine, and if not, remove the empty wine glasses from the table. Once the order has been put through the till, all mise en place should be delivered on a service plate. Starters should be served within a maximum of 10 minutes, 13 for a cheese soufflé. It is your responsibility to run food from the kitchen responding to your pager. Once the guests have had a few bites of their starter, you should visually check that they are satisfied, making sure to pay attention to facial expressions and body language. Should the guest let you know of any issues at this point, politely let them know that you will ask the manager to address this with them. Once your guests have clearly finished their starters, you should signal to the kitchen they can prepare the main course. This is achieved by pressing the mains away button on the till. You should then remove the starter plates and clear any excess items from the table. Main courses should be served within 15 minutes of mains away. Again, make sure you're responding to your pager so you're available to run the dishes when they're ready. Once the main courses have been delivered to the table, condiments should be offered and any empty glasses cleared from the table, together with an offer of further drinks. While the guest is enjoying their main course, a verbal checkback should be carried out within 3 bites. Remember to ask open questions, and if something is not quite right, please bring this to the attention of the manager on duty immediately. Only when each guest has finished their food should you clear the table. Empty plates should be cleared within 1 minute and all excess crockery, glassware and cutlery should be removed. Only the salt and pepper and any active drinks should remain. This is also the opportunity to carry out a final check on how the meal was. You should then place dessert menus in front of the guests, pointing out liqueur coffees and after dinner drinks, and taking this opportunity to remind guests of any dessert specials. You should aim to return to the table within 5 minutes to take the order for dessert and any hot drinks. Please note, some guests will want their hot drinks with dessert, some will want them after. Make sure to ask the guest about this so you can deliver these at the right time. As with previous orders, repeat the order back to the guest. You should then ring the order through the tills and deliver the required mise en place to the table. Dessert should arrive from the kitchen within around 10 minutes. As with previous orders, make sure you're around to deliver these promptly. As with starters, once the guest has had 3 bites of their dessert, carry out a visual check back, following the same rules as before. Once the guests have clearly finished their desserts, make sure to go over to the table and clear any empty plates. And, if the guests ordered coffee, make sure these come out afterwards. Once the guests request the bill, what they're really saying is they wish to pay and depart. As such, it is important that the bill is prepared promptly and delivered on a clean bill plate. Be aware of visual cues that the guest is ready to pay, such as a card or a phone on the table. Every member of the team should offer a genuine thank you and farewell to the guests as they depart. Congratulations, you have now completed this guest journey. The table needs to be cleared down with soapy water, relayed with the standard table setup ready for the next booking. But what does a perfectly laid up table actually look like? Across all of our pubs and brasseries, each table is set up in exactly the same way. Each place setting requires 1 napkin, folded so that it opens the same way you would open a book, 1 starter fork, 1 main course fork, 1 starter knife, 1 main course knife, 1 wine glass, 1 water glass, salt and pepper shakers, and a drinks list.